Welcome to A Double
and
Dice
with your host Kim
and Jocelyn.
Pour your favorite beverage.
Pull up a comfy chair.
As we are ready to roll.
Welcome to episode 16 of A Double and Dice, folks, and we are live for the after party after Roll for the North. And those who do not know what Roll for the North was, Jocelyn, what was Roll for the North?
So Roll for the North was the unofficial Canadian National Championship that we put on at our Matt here, Jordo's suggestion. He decided that since, the pandemic times and all that fun stuff was happening, we should probably try and do an online tournament similar to what the MOD guys did for the MOD PDM UKGE. So we set this up. We picked today, which is September 19th, and we just spent the last 6 hours rolling dice in the last 45 minutes trying to spin prize wheels. So,
was it 45 minutes?
Well, it's 6:46 now, so it's been a while. But no, it was good. And so we played 5 rounds. The rounds were best of 3, and they were 50-minute rounds. No turns at time. Whoever had highest life at time got the win. So that was how we sort of planned it. And Kim and I both played, while Matt and Reg were in the booth and doing the recording and judging duties, and Laurier was also playing, but he's had to step away. And how did you think it went, Kim?
Good. Just to give you a quick summary, my team was an Orbital Strike team that never bought Orbital Strike team. So yeah, I never played Orbital Strike, funny enough. I had the 5-cost Becky, and I had Super Giant 5-cost, which is a regenerate and take control character. I also had Black Dwarf to double some A's if I wanted to, especially if I was attacking with Becky or even if I was whirling. But they went well. I had a lot of fun, though I had a lot of technical difficulties, but thanks for everybody who's being patient with me during my games. And I started off strong, but then fell off. So it is what it is when it comes to a dice rolling game, right? It is what it is. But
that's what I hear.
Yeah. How about you?
Well, of course, one of the key parts of my team was this guy, Rare Spider-Man Forever. Hashtag Rare Spider-Man Forever. And I paired him with the Rare Angela, who gives Infiltrate. All my opponents, I made sure to tell them this is the Infiltrate Angela, not the one that cancels your Becky Lynch. And then at Jackalope Spam's suggestion, I added in Dreadnought. So that was the 3-piece combo that I was trying to get off. You get a Spider-Man, an Angela, and a Dreadnought in the field. You infiltrate them after doing the range damage if you need to, if all 3 of them are active. And of course, Eddie Guerrero is there to take that energy away. Now, I did have a ruling question prior to this event to determine if I got to choose the order of the effects. So the answer to that was yes. I was a little worried about seeing a whole bunch of Black Widows after how well Super Rare Thor did in the MOD PDM at UKGE. So I was a little worried about that on the opposing side. So I did get a ruling on that I get to choose the order of when attacks effects. But once range starts, I can't interrupt it. So I could potentially spin down a Black Widow to single energy, ship it off to the use pile with Eddie, and then do the range, which I was able to do in a couple of my games, and it was a lot of fun when it went off. But 3 4-cost and a 2-cost in the field with some fielding costs did take a little bit of getting to, and I wasn't able to get to everybody in all of my games, but I had a really good time playing the team. I had some support pieces, Kree captains, such. So
there was a lot of a few teams with Rare Spider-Man on them that I saw.
Yeah, Rare Spider-Man, I think, was on the stats that I saw, and Matt, if you're kicking around on the audio still, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was tied for the number 1 card used in the tournament, 13.
He was. I can actually grab the stats if you're patient.
We are patient. Canadian.
Yeah, actually, he was the most used card. This is from Brian's quick breakdown of the team lists on 13 of the teams.
Yeah, 13 teams. So that was pretty good. I was the only team that brought a Dreadnought, and I was also the only team that brought that Angela. So
what were the top 3? The top 3, Matt?
The top 3 cards were Spider-Man number 1, Clayface number 2, and surprisingly, the Godcatcher, famous walking statue, was number 3. So that was 13, 12, and 12.
Wow.
So how did your day go, Kim?
Good. First round. Gosh, gonna have to go by memories. First round went good. I got 3 Beckys out, and I was able to win that one. And then things started going downhill from there. I faced some Godcatcher teams, and then I started rolling really bad for the rest of my other rounds. I can't remember where, but yeah, I just started rolling, and then I couldn't get to Becky's and at the end, or my Super Giant, and I was like, had so much Gazers and Proximas at one turn. I'm like, what am I doing? Sometimes it just doesn't roll, right? So I started out the days pretty strong, and then it kind of went down from there. My one game against Elliot, I think it was, he was doing Godcatcher, so we only actually played one game, so 15 minutes back and forth of me trying to get rid of his Godcatchers, and he won by life at the end of that. It wasn't even a full-blown win. So Godcatcher is definitely still strong, yes, for sure. What else did I play? I played you, Jocelyn.
You did.
We're Spider-Man Forever.
And rumor has it you won.
Yeah, you won 2-0, but the actual facts show that I win. So yes, that was my highlight for the day.
I'm just gonna chime in on that. Challenge used to once you finished a round, it wouldn't let you go back and change things. So I thought it was too late to fix it. I found out afterwards I had like a window where it could have been fixed, but everyone had already spread out playing. So I'm going, we'll just let it slide.
Yeah.
No worries, Matt.
So
it's all good.
That was all on.
We were excluded from prizing anyway.
Yeah, you weren't winning anything anyway, so I figured it was safe.
Yeah.
If I had won, I wanted the trophy.
Oh no, the trophy was up for grabs. Yes, 100%, 100%.
Ronathan's saying that you played him.
I did.
Yeah.
Ronathan might have to remind me what. There was some epic games. We played all 3 games, if I remember. And what were you playing, Ron? I can't remember now. It was the last 2 were pretty back and forth games, nail biter games. Good thing I have all this on video. Is he in chat? Yeah, okay, he's in chat, but
he's in chat. Yeah.
Yeah, I should probably pull back up the team links. It'll always remind me of what people played. Yes, I did play Ron, and round 5 I played CCM, so I got some Canadians in there. CCM ran a fish slap and definitely fish slapped me, so that was a game that I got Becky once, kind of really went off rails. So much Gazers and Proximas and Gnarls for second game. I couldn't even get any of my heavy hitters. But you know what? And then this was supposed to be an Orbital Strike team, and I never bought Orbital Strike once. So
Ronathan's saying here he was running Gamora Rush with Godcatcher.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that's right.
I think
yeah,
Rush
when you
really
have a lot of
cool.
Godcatchers out in the field.
Yeah. I think Rush is really cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd like to see how it
But when
can be enabled.
when you have a lot of when Godcatchers comes out and you got like 3 and 4 in the field, it's very tough on the other end to kind of get that down, because you're going to concentrate more on getting like your Gazers or something that's a deadly that can block it, and you kind of don't worry about. You kind of get lost of your own win condition because you're trying to control that too much, right? Which I found I think happened to me. Just trying to get them out of the field, and then because eventually they're going to sneak through, and they're going to go through for 10 damage. So. Yeah, I have a bad memory, so if I missed anything important, there's videos hopefully that recorded that you can see all that stuff. So.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I think it was good. 15 minutes I think was good. And what was it? If you played a third game, it went to life at the end after time was called active player finishes. I don't know if I would have probably wanted the other player to have a turn, but then we get into turns and all that stuff. So,
yeah, the turns is a struggle, especially when you're playing online and trying to do all of this sort of stuff. So, I liked the way it was run. I liked the 50-minute best of 3. I liked, just highest life at time. You have to play a little bit differently maybe than you might otherwise. But I think it's just a different type of strategy and a different type of team building. But for an online tournament, I felt that was a pretty good way to go about it. So I played, first round I played Patrick K from LA. He was running a super rare Thor team. I did manage to disrupt him a fair bit with my Spider-Man, but he did end up taking that 2-0. We completed one game, and the second game went to time, and he won on life. My second round was against TJ, and that's recorded over on Friday Night Clicks. So thanks, TJ, for streaming that. Had a lot of fun doing that. It was great to be with you on the channel and to talk IRL instead of just over chat, as we have been lately. And HeroClix is still a cool game, guys. I'm not lying. So that was pretty good. TJ was also running a super rare Thor team, which I inadvertently helped him build because he was building his team on his Twitch stream on Thursday, and I had jumped into his chat shortly, and I said, "You're going to see lots of this card," and he's like, "Oh, that's a good card. I should put that on my team." So he put it on his team, but he also had on there the Danny Moonstar that rerolls blocking character dice. He had a force block with Booker T, and he had the Poison Ivy that is deadly if she's blocked by non-villains and doesn't take any damage from non-villains. So all of a sudden my ranged would not deal with the deadly. And for those that were chatting earlier, if you were around before we started recording the episode, they talked about not seeing a lot of Typhoid Marys. Well, TJ was Typhoid Marying it up. There was at least 2 of them in the field at one point. He had 2 Typhoid Marys and 2 double Typhoid Maried my Spider-Man, and it took a lot to get around it. However, similarly, opposite to the first round, I took TJ's first game in full, and then the second game I won on life. So that was a 2-0 for me. In round 3, we just talked about that with Kim. And then I took round 4. Round 4, I played... Where did I play round 4? Stuart, of course. How did I forget? So I played Stuart, and it was fantastic. It was always good to play him. He was playing a Becky team with some Atlantis going on, and it was a lot of fun. He did take me 2-0. That is, and that was firm, 2 full games. And then my last game, I played against MOD Andy. So he took the first game, I took the second, and we tied. So that was a pretty good day of dice rolling for me.
So speaking of Typhoid Mary and Drax, did you come up against any Drax?
I didn't come up against any Drax at all. And I didn't put that control on my team. I didn't have a Typhoid Mary or a Drax. I did not place them in.
Neither did I. I think I came upon some Drax, but no Typhoid Mary. So Matt, what was the breakdown of those cards? Did a lot of people bring them or no?
Hang on as I get to it. Typhoid Mary was on 10 teams. Drax was on 8. So, I mean, about a third of the teams.
Yeah. Because I always thought maybe Typhoid Mary might be a little tough to get out, being a 4-cost, was it crossover?
Yes.
I was expecting to see a lot more mask teams. And if you've got a mask team, then that Typhoid Mary is a mask and a bolt, right? If you've got Asuka in the field, so you've got a Mask and a Bolt, and you've got a Typhoid Mary, and that's not quite as hard to get, especially if there's an Intellect Devourer kicking around, which I did see on some of my opponent's teams, primarily the Super Rare Thor teams. I didn't see it after that. And I think at 3 cost, 3 shield, I think Drax is really strong. And playing against it or practicing against it, Rob put it on his team, and when we were practicing our teams previously, it does make it a little bit more tricky. But a lot of that stuff, it's a little easier to manage now that Intimidate is in the meta. Intimidate and re-rolling and spinning of stuff. Like I was faced, I think it was in the first game I played against Patrick, the the rare Black Widow with the Energize effect. That did some work for Patrick to spin my stuff down by level or spin it out to energy. And it doesn't matter if it's blanked or if you've got a blanker, those things are not protected.
Yeah.
So, although there's more control, I think it's easier to manage against control. Especially when you can use your Spider-Man to spin an opposing Black Widow agent to energy, then put an Eddie Guerrero to send it to the use pile, and then range out your opponent's stuff.
I think I remember during CCM and I game, he bought Drax, which never rolled for him, but I was kind of waiting for what he was going to Drax on me, as I put quotes up in the air. So I think that kind of threw me off of what to buy. So because I was waiting for it to roll and see what he was going to do before I buy, but then it wasn't rolling for him, and then I was not getting what I wanted to. So there's that kind of funny game you can play with Drax, which I found a little weird.
TJ's linked my Twitch game into the chat there, so if you're interested, you can check that out. We had quite a nice little chat while we were talking. While we were playing. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah. So we have some viewers. Do our viewers have any questions for us? Does anyone have any questions about the event today, about our teams, about any event, anything you want to share about your own teams or your own experience? Pop it in the chat, and let's talk about that. Opening it up to anyone.
Our audience. Matt, is there anything you would like to add on, or what did you see during the day today?
A lot of god catchers. So many god catchers. Which wasn't surprising. I kind of expected it. I was going into this thinking Thor was going to be the big piece, and I mean he was in the finals, so I guess he was a big piece. Becky was still super strong. I thought she kind of fell out of favor originally once Godcatcher kind of caught on again. And yeah, I was just I'm sure I'll appreciate a lot more of it when I step back and watch it later, because it was a lot of work just to keep on top of it from the production standpoint.
Right, yeah.
For sure.
I know I missed a lot of things. Actually, there was one match. It was Peter's match we were recording, and I didn't realize I had someone else's window on the other side of it, so I was switching between these, and they weren't even playing each other.
All right. So we've got some questions here in the chat. So we've got TJ here. What clicks chase did I get? I actually got 2. So Rob and I pulled a Leonardo da Venom, and we also pulled a Gwen of Arc. So we have 2 chases from the new set, and I was hoping for a Steampunk Penny, so I'm still looking for that. I know this is a Dice Masters podcast, but the HeroClix stuff for the latest set is really cool. Spider-Man and Venom, absolute carnage. I would strongly recommend that you check it out. And if you're interested to see some of the sculpts and cards and some of the abilities that are in this set, I would encourage you to check out Rob's YouTube channel. So head over to YouTube, Dice Station Zebra, and we put up some unboxing videos of the new stuff. So looking forward to doing that. The Leonardo da Venom makes Scientists a Spider-Man themed team, so that should be kind of cool. Chris says, plug and play control stuff does my nut in. Drax and Typhoid Mary are lazy cards. I'm not going to argue with you. That is a very true statement. They are sort of one size fits all thingamajigs, but I also think that they're a lot easier to deal with than they were when we had Shriek. Just with the whole intimidate concept. Right? What do you think, Kim?
Yeah, I was not paying attention because I was looking at Chris's other question.
Chris says, "Why was Becky more present in? Why do we think Becky was more present than in the MOD PDM at UKGE?" I just like all the letters.
Becky more present than in the
Yeah.
More present in this tournament.
That's what I'm assuming. He says more
remember.
present than in the MOD PDM.
Yeah, so-
Well, I mean, you guys over there at the MOD did put out the challenge to try and build something that was a little bit more unique and different. I think some of us took that to heart and didn't bring the Becky, although, you know, I did put a Becky on my team and I bought it in one of my rounds because I got stuck. So maybe that is one of the reasons why. I think maybe with the win of Super Rare Thor at MOD PDM at UKGE, again, like saying the syllables, I think that maybe people thought Godcatcher might have sort of dropped a little bit off to the side and brought Becky so they could potentially roll out Thors. That's my thoughts. Kim, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. I mean, the 5 cost is probably the best one, right? Unless you're running just pure Overcrush, but rolling out stuff works. It helps. It does help.
Jonathan says, "What got you into Dice Masters in the first place?"
Good question. You, me first?
You go first. I've been doing a lot of talking.
All right. I like playing dice games, so I play a lot of board games. I mostly gear to dice games when it comes to board games, so any type of dice rolling in any board game, I'm so for it. I think I stumbled upon Dice Masters when I was watching Watch It Played videos with Rodney. If you guys ever seen those YouTube videos, he was showing the how to play Dice Masters, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's like 90% or 100% rolling dice. So I went out and I saw that there was a Avengers versus X-Men starter kit, starter pack. So I went out to get it. Now I started playing in 16. So at that time, finding the Avengers vs. X-Men was a little tough, but I was able to find it. That was my first ever set. And I always say this thanks to Comics Mike. I was able to finish that set. And that was the only set I ever finished because I found it was my first set and I just had to get all the cards for it. And then, I started looking around and found some people playing locally. And it started from there. I'm not a big collector on getting all the cards, but I just like to get stuff that I liked. So when I first started playing, I didn't have anybody to play with. I would play with myself, just to help me, to get it going. And I would just buy cards that I liked. I never looked at abilities or anything like that. And I always thought, global abilities, what's that? That won't win me any games. Yeah. So
spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Globals can win you games. So it's useful, I should say. So then kind of just Jocelyn and I met for local playing, and then we started, and we went from there. So that was that's what got me into Dice Masters.
Yeah. And for me, Rob and I picked it up after he heard about it on a podcast. We were at Fan Expo Canada a number of years ago now, probably. When did this game out? 2014?
Something like that.
2015? Anyway, about a year or so after it came out, so probably 2015. Big conventions, remember those? We were at Fan Expo Canada, which is the biggest gaming and pop culture convention in Canada, in Toronto, and we found a Justice League starter set. And Rob said, "Hey, I heard about this game on this podcast, we should check it out," and we took it back to our hotel room and tried to learn how to play it from the book. It was a bit of a challenge. There were a lot of YouTube videos involved, and we just really liked it. So we started collecting it, and we would pick up, little packs anytime we were at the game store in the city where we were able to get access to some of this stuff, and we started collecting it. And then, we found the Facebook, and then we found competitive play, and then we found Kim and her team, her group of people that were playing here in Mississauga. We started joining them. And yeah, the rest is history. And there's probably a little bit more details about that if you ever wanted to go back and listen to our past catalog on the podcast. I think we talk about it in our first episode. But yeah, so we got into it that way. And really enjoy it and happy to play. I really like playing casually. The events that we did, like today, the more competitive events, I mean, I could have brought a Godcatcher team and run it. I just didn't feel like doing that. I like to play things that are a little bit more nuanced or difficult. Chris says, what's HeroClix? Is it popular? TJ says, you can join us on Fridays to find out. That's a good idea. Clicks is awesome. Let's see. What do we got here? Shriek blows. Yeah, I won't argue with that. Drax Mary blows more. Also, only for the global. That's right. I did say I only brought Becky to the MOD PDM UKG for the global, but I did end up buying her when my Spider-Man was Draxed by Michael Ingledew. Ronathan says, agree, there's more ways to remove them with Rare Widow, Rare Spider-Man, and Intimidate. Yeah, there's definitely more ways to remove dice. There's still not that many ways to remove tokens. So tokens will, I think, continue to be strong. TJ, I think folk will grow to hate Rare Spider-Man as it loses things for quite some time. I would agree with that. I have definitely buried people's Thors in their bag with a Rare Spider-Man, and it's really hard because you can't stop it. The only way to stop a Rare Spider-Man is to get it out of the field. You've got to KO it or re-roll it into energy or spin it or something like that. There's no way to stop a when attacks effect right now. So it is super strong and it is super annoying.
Or I can take a roll like I did with you and...
Yeah, you should talk about that, Kim. You didn't talk about that on your team.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So Super Giant, who is a regenerate 5 cost, also takes control of a character die. So...
And she's fielded, right?
When fielded, that's right. So I can't remember, did I do it during your game? I think I did a couple of times.
Yeah, you did. I don't know if you took Spider-Man, but you definitely took Angela.
Yeah, so I would take control. The whole concept was I would take control of, let's say, a Becky or a Godcatcher, or in this case, I'm playing Jocelyn, her Rare Spider-Man, or Angela. And it comes in handy because then you can attack with it, and he'll spin something down. So I could spin something up. Jocelyn's off her field, and then she has an open field. She's going to take damage from her Spider-Man. I did it with Angela. Yep, I spun her down, and she went to used, right? So
no, you took control of my Angela, which would then have given all of your dice infiltrate.
Yes, that's right. I had infiltrate. That's right. So I actually thought she was a super duper cool card. I think during Elliot's game, I used her against his Godcatcher. Unfortunately, it didn't work out where I had his field cleared. One of my gazers didn't roll, I think. And then just attacked with the Godcatcher, but it didn't work out. So he got his Godcatcher back. But I thought that was a super duper card, actually. Especially when you're taking control of those high characters or things that are annoying you, and you get rid of it. So
it's kind of a weird one because it has regenerate. Yes. So if it's KO'd, you re-roll it, and then it might not get fielded again. Like, it'd be super cool if that ability, or super strong if that ability was on a non-regenerate card.
Yeah, you would have to either use Nile or Global to KO it, or I had Proxima, so I could use it to KO her as well. Because her stats are not great, only on her high is 5/5, but everything else is kind of mad. So
wouldn't she still regenerate? KO is KO.
Yep. So I still have to re-roll her. So that's the only problem. So one time I think I was just practicing, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna block with her. She gets KO'd, and I'm like, oh, I have to do regenerate. So that kind of threw me off. Because I wanted her KO'd, obviously, right? And then she rolled back. Yeah. I'm like, oh, great. So that's the one time you don't want them to roll back.
Yeah, because you want to keep
she's tricky that way. Yeah, she's tricky that way. So, but I still liked it. I like taking control of stuff, I guess. So.
Mass Spectra, hey D, says, were there any surprising new combos we encountered in the tournament, or did everything seem to be pretty expected meta stuff?
I would say meta stuff. I had a Godcatcher. Rare Spider-Man, which was yours.
Mhm.
CCM was the fish slap team. And Ronathan was also, he had Godcatcher. And I found too, a lot of people actually used Black Widow, Widow's Hunt, the rare one, the Energize.
Yeah.
I found that on a lot of teams that, if anybody doesn't know, so when you energize, she spins a target opposing character down to level 1, but if it's already a level 1, she spins it to an energy phase. So I saw that a lot. And who else did I play?
So pretty meta.
Oh, and David. Yeah, pretty meta. David. I think he went off meta, but I'll find his. What did you face? Mostly metas, right?
Yeah, so 2 super rare Thors, your team, which was not meta, which we've just talked about. Then
Becky's meta.
Yeah, but it wasn't a Beck. It wasn't supposed to be a Becky team. It was supposed to be an Orbital Strike team. Then Stuart was running Becky, and then I guess Andy's team that I played, MOD Andy. It was also it was supposed to be Aquaman life gain, but in the first game he bought Becky. He bought a couple Beckys and was just made in Irelanding me. I do have to say though that my favorite role of the entire event, there was 2 of them. One was against you, Kim, where you re-rolled my 2 sidekicks with your Becky and they both came back.
Oh yeah.
And then I don't know, but you watched me roll them. And then
it's on video.
There was another one. I don't remember who I was playing, but I had to re-roll the Dreadnought, and it was probably the Dreadnought and Spider-Man, and both of them came back on different levels. They swapped. One went from level 2 to level 3, and the other one went from level 3 to level 2. So twice that backfired on my opponent, and that was kind of cool to see. So Andy's team, the first time he played Becky, and then the second time he was trying to do some life gainy, attuney stuff. But yeah, so that was it. I do want to talk about Rob's team, because I would say Rob, I don't think is here, Rob L, but we put a team together for him that he wanted to play, and he was working with She-Hulk Greenie from the new set, which is the 6-cost She-Hulk that says at the beginning of your turn you may field a non-sidekick character die at level 1 on its you may field it at the beginning of your turn, like before your clear and draw. So he had paired that up with the Drow Mercenary from one of the Waterdeep sets, whatever one that one came out of. I don't remember where the Drow came from. That has Obscure and Nefarious Broadcast to turn off globals. So the idea was he would get She-Hulk in the field, and then he would buy a Drow, and then field it at the beginning of his turn, and then roll a Nefarious Broadcast, and then buff the Drow and send it through after. So he'd buff the Drow first, then he would use the Nefarious Broadcast, and then send the Drow through unblockable. So that was sort of a really cool strategy that he put together. I still think that She-Hulk Greenie has a lot of legs on her. I just think that the current meta is so smash face that it's a bit of a challenge.
And I'm guessing he was the only one with that card on his team. Matt, stats?
Stats, Matt.
Matt, stats.
Sorry, I was communicating with my wife, who I've ignored all day.
Hi, Matt's wife.
What was the question?
She-Hulk Greenie. Was it on one team?
She-Hulk
or was it on multiple?
Greenie. She-Hulk Greenie. She-Hulk Greenie. Where are you, She-Hulk?
Probably only on one team.
Yeah, I guess he's only on Rob's team then.
Why can't I find her?
That would be my guess.
Do the old
search.
Yeah, do the old search.
Well,
one. Yes, all that energy for one.
Yeah. So it was one, just Rob's team. Yeah, and it was cool. It was a cool little team that he built, and it had a pretty good engine. Once he put Drax on to start, making it harder for your opponent, because it is still control and you have to work around it. he was able to even get some wins with it in practice, and it's a really cool team. It's just maybe not as easy to do in the current meta. I still think it's a super fun card.
Yeah, I tried working with her. So
we were looking for something while we were talking.
Yeah, David's team that I played against was off meta, so he actually had a lot of energize, Harley, KO, reroll characters, and ping to do some onesie damages there. So he had no Becky, no Godcatcher, nothing like that. So
nice.
Another Black Widow. She was high up there actually. So if I were to say a surprising card to see, I would say Black Widow. Widow's Hunt, the rare one from.
Oh, I was expecting to see that.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Okay, Chris's next question. Does Jocelyn actually wear berets? So yes, I do wear hats. I wouldn't say I wear berets. I do not have a current beret, but I do like very nice hats. So I have a couple of very nice, wool cloche hats for the winter, and I just got myself a really lovely sun hat. There's a particular milliner I like. Her name is, she goes by the Saucy Milliner, and she's done a whole bunch of stuff for movies. She used to be in Toronto. She's now in Ottawa, and her store is in a place called the Byward Market. And I ordered one from her Instagram over the COVID times, and I love it. It's beautiful. So I do wear a lot of hats, but I don't currently have a beret. But there wasn't a lot of options in the hats and the emojis. James says, is there regional variation in the Canadian pronunciation of card? Card?
Card?
That?
I wasn't even born here, so.
It's card. I don't know.
That's still
card?
Are we saying
Card?
it? Is it being said funny? I don't know.
I think he was commenting on Rodney from Watch It Played.
Oh, okay.
And I told him that the Easterners talk funny.
there is a very distinct Atlantic accent.
No. I think that's it for questions. Look at my glass slipper. Yeah, people are heading out. Ronathan would say any team with Becky, Thor, or Godcatcher, a tier 1 meta team. I would agree with that. I would also say Spider-Man. I know a lot of people are using Spider-Man as control, but I strongly feel that Spider-Man can still be a win condition. We just have to find the right build for it. If people can rush
Chris
it
says
forward, they can rush it greenie.
Yeah.
No one's found the greenie
magic
greenie sauce. I like that.
Yeah, I think Rob is close. I think that his strategy with it was really cool. And I liked that he wasn't depending on a when fielded when he had greenie in there, because you have that Angela to shut them down. Speaking of that, Matt, if you want to pull up your magic spreadsheet again, how much of the uncommon Angela did we see against when fielded effects?
We did see it on one match, but let me do the Google. Angela
Tier 1
only on 2 teams.
Yeah, so that surprises me. I would have expected to see uncommon Angela on more teams, especially considering we were allowing proxies for Infinity Gauntlet. So, Ronathan suggesting,
fielded, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
A tier 1A meta team would be Hope, Iceman, and Green Lantern. Chris is saying they're boring. Snooze fest to play and snooze fest to play against. I'm not. I agree. I agree that those teams are not as interesting to play. They're a little bit more autopilot-y, and I like to do something a little bit more interesting. Comics Mike is here. Hi, he says, hi, ladies. Hi, Comics Mike. Do people even enjoy themselves when they win with these types of win conditions? Well, that's a good question. What do you guys think that you guys are out there in Chatland? We still have 15 folks, out there. What do you guys think? Do you think that you enjoy a win when you win with a Becky or a Thor or a Godcatcher? Or is the win for the win's sake what you're looking for?
For me, answering that question, a lot of people give some time. I went with more Becky's on my team, and I think it was more win for me. I didn't feel bad, nor I didn't, feel happy about it. So it was just to go for the win, to be honest. And sure, I mean, she's got a good global, so I can't not pass her up, to be honest, putting on a team. It really helps when you have discount stuff and you can move stuff over, right?
Yeah. I would say, from my own opinion, I tried out the whole Becky Booker T, Jerry Lawler thing, and I didn't enjoy it. I tried out the Godcatcher thing, and I didn't enjoy playing it. If your opponent isn't teched to at least either to play the same thing or to tech against it, it just feels like you're railroading someone, and that's just my opinion. I like the game to be a little bit more back and forth. I like it to be fun. My favorite games, and I maintain this, are ones that I have lost or won just by, a few moves. Whether that's a couple of life or, I managed the big combo and that worked. So for me, that's my opinion. What do we got here? James says he enjoys having the... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
When you face...
I was going to say... when I face Godcatchers, it's always like, oh, another Godcatcher team. But I think challenge that comes for me with Godcatcher teams, especially when they have like 2 or 3 out in the field, is getting rid of them. That's like, it's like my goal is like, can I get rid of them out of the field, either by putting them against a deadly character or intimidating out? I always find it a nice challenge when I'm facing a Godcatcher team, and I don't care if I lose or win against one of those. So, sorry.
James says here that he enjoys having breaks and that all the games were fun except against Stu when he felt bad. He finds control a bit dull. For his part, it takes all sorts. And I agree with that. I think everybody has a different method of playing and what they like about the game. So that's interesting. And I would agree with that. I think everyone's got their own reasons they play and why they play and what they enjoy playing. Some people like control. Some people like to smash face. Some people like the wombo combo, right? That's what's great about this game is you can do all of it. Shadow Meld is suggesting Black Dwarf, Spidey, and Villainous Pact win con. So that's interesting, Shadow, because before I flipped to the Angela, Spidey, Dreadnought version of this team, I was testing Spidey with Black Dwarf, and I was doing it. I tried it with both the rare, it gave me the Fist Fixer and the +2A and Overcrush, and I tried it with the A, which I think is the uncommon. I tried it both ways, but the 5 cost I was finding a bit challenging to keep that going and keep cycling it. I mean, he's got a good defense for that. He's only got, I think, 2 on all 3 levels, and his fielding cost is reasonable. I didn't have Villainous Pact on the team, though, so that would be something that I could look at. I was not around in the days of Villainous Pact, so it's not something that I have as a go-to. I just know that if I bring it, I need to make sure that I have some villains in case my opponent buys it off of me.
Yeah, and I think in one of my games, I had Villainous Pact on my team, and they bought 2. So it's something to be aware of. Yeah.
Ronathan thinks that the game should definitely be more back and forth, and I think that's
makes it
I
fun.
would agree with that. Yeah.
Cool. Well, anything else from the audience? Matt, anything else you would like to add?
Just another thank you to everyone for participating. I'm exhausted.
Yeah. Long day.
And thank you guys for hanging around doing this, because I know it's been a long day for you too.
Yeah, well, thanks for setting it up for us and doing all the technical wizardry to get us on screen, and thanks to those of you that stuck around to watch. Yeah, Shadow says Spidey spins down the one guy they choose to block. I hear what you're saying. The problem I was worried about was all of these Thor teams with the Collector Global, because all of a sudden, if your opponent has a whole bunch of stuff, it's a lot harder to get that damage through. That was just my experience, but I think there's probably another way to potentially build that, and I might explore that. I do like the current version of the team, though. It is kind of fun to play. Okay, so Kim.
if there's nothing else, our last thing on the agenda is Jocelyn. Do we have a special announcement in our mailbag today?
We do. We have a couple of things in our mailbag. So 2 things in particular I'd like to talk about. So the first one is that we wanted to put a shout out for Gaming versus Cancer, which will be run by the Ministry of Dice folks last weekend in November. It's going to be a ticketed event with the price to be confirmed, and all proceeds will go to the Cancer Research UK, which is the Gaming versus Cancer charity. The format is going to be a bit different, more to follow on that. So do not expect it to be a standard modern, no bans, similar to what we just went through with Roll for the North. Expect it to be something a little bit different. So looking forward to that back in the end of November, and thanks to the Ministry of Dice for putting that on. The second thing that we wanted to announce is, we wanted to announce a rebranding of our Ladies' Night. So a few weeks back, Kim and I held our first Ladies' Night event, and we want to thank Dee for joining us there, Mass Spectra. I think she might still be in chat. The 3 of us played a couple of games, and it was a lot of fun. Since that time, we've had a lot of really good feedback from a number of different folks in the community. Some people who feel they're not women, but they feel like maybe they're not as welcome in certain other events for various reasons, or they're not really sure where they could go to play. So we've decided to rebrand Ladies' Night as, what's it called, Kim?
Dice Social.
Dice Social. So in Dice Social, we're going to run occasional events. They will not conflict with any of the other events that are being held. So they're not going to be weekly Dice Arena, or during Dice Fight, or during Team of the Month, or the monthly one-shot. We're going to coordinate them around that. They may not be on a particular day or time. We're just going to send out a notice that says, hey, this is the next Dice Social. Everyone's welcome. They're going to be casual events and focus on the social as opposed to the dice. So we may have bands, we may have specific themes, but we don't want themes to be something that prevents someone from playing. So if you can't make a team with the theme, no problem. Come with something else, right? So that's the idea behind Dice Social, and again, more on the social aspect than the competitive aspect. So something a little bit less intense than perhaps an arena or a fight is the idea. So we're looking forward to that, and we hope that some of you folks will be able to join us, and that we'll be able to get some of these casual games in at different times. It could be a weeknight, it could be a weekend, trying to find times that work for various different time zones, and we might mix it up. So right now the idea is to probably have one a month-ish, and we're going to set a date for one soon, so watch for an announcement on that on our DM-North Facebook page.
And we'll announce it in Discord as well.
Fantastic. So I think that's a wrap for this week, a wrap for Roll for the North. Big thanks go out to Matt Jordo for putting on a whole lot of this work, for Kim for making all of the prize wheels multiple times as we continue to do stuff there, and for all of the players and streamers and folks that participated. It was a really fun day. All of my games, I think all of Kim's games, and everyone I've talked to had a great time playing. Really appreciate the event, and we're just going to run through all of the places you can find us as we usually do at the end of our episodes. So you can send us an email at tripledpodcast@dm-north.com. You can find us on Facebook at Dice Masters North. You can find us on Twitter at Dice Masters North without the O, but if you search for us with the O, you'll still find us. We're on the Instagram now with the Dice Masters North, twitch.tv, where you're watching us potentially live right now. /Dice Masters North. Did I miss anything, Kim?
No, that's all.
Maybe the website itself at dm-north.com. So yeah, so please connect with us, and we look forward to holding a Dice Social soon. And again, thanks for everyone for coming out today. So until next time, on a double in dice.
Bye y'all.